You're going about your regular day flights in the sky, farmers working in the fields, kids playing outside in the sun, and then, out of nowhere, the ground rumbles, the sky darkens, and a monstrous plume of ash shoots 45,000 feet into the air. That's the kind of plot twist no one asked for.
If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Your feedback helps shape what we cover next, and you being here keeps the conversation going. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.
Older than writing, older than agriculture as we know it. Back when Haile Gubby last erupted, woolly mammoths were still alive. And for thousands of years, it was a quiet relic of ancient fire, just sitting there in the East African rift, minding its own business. Until it wasn't. Suddenly, and with zero fanfare, the volcano exploded into violent life, so violently, in fact, that satellites from across the globe immediately pinged alert systems. The ash column rose fast. Aviation authorities scrambled. The East African sky went from clear blue to charcoal gray, and Haile Gubby went from forgotten to front page. And just like that, the world had a new geological villain. The ash heard round the world. Ash plumes from this eruption didn't politely linger over the volcano. No, they shot straight up into commercial airspace. That 14-kilometer-high ash column is not just impressive, it's dangerous. Airplanes aren't designed to fly through volcanic ash. In fact, it's one of their biggest natural enemies. Why? Because volcanic ash melts inside jet engines. It turns into a glassy, sticky mess that can shut down turbines mid-flight. Entire planes have nearly gone down in similar eruptions. So you better believe aviation officials aren't taking any chances this time. Within hours of Haile Gubby's explosive wake-up, flight paths were altered, planes were grounded, and airspace across East Africa, the Middle East, and parts of South Asia was marked hazardous. Passengers were stuck, flights were cancelled, and the ripple effect started to hit: delays, reroutes, shipping chaos, economic fallout. All because one volcano we forgot about decided to remind us who's really in charge. But the skies weren't the only thing catching heat. Life beneath the plume, down below, in Ethiopia's Afar region, things got real and fast. Imagine waking up to find your entire village coated in ash. Not just a light dusting. We're talking blankets of fine gray particles. The kind that coats every surface, seeps into homes, contaminates water, and turns the air into something you can't safely breathe. This is what locals are dealing with. Livestock choking on ash-covered grass, water tanks filled with undrinkable sludge, coughing children, burning eyes, and skies so dark it feels like twilight at noon. And here's the hard part. These communities weren't prepared for this. Why would they be? Haile Gubby hadn't so much as murmured in thousands of years. There were no emergency drills, no evacuation protocols, no press briefings about potential volcanic activity. People were blindsided, and now they're scrambling. Aid organizations are already moving in, bringing masks, medical teams, and filtration systems. But roads are rough. Visibility is low. Air quality is dangerous. This isn't just a volcano erupting. It's a full-scale humanitarian emergency. And while scientists are monitoring ash clouds and SO levels, the people on the ground are just trying to breathe. What makes this eruption so scary? Beyond the destruction and disruption, the most terrifying part of this event is how little warning there was. Usually, volcanoes give us clues. Tremors, gas emissions, ground swelling. But Haile Gubby, she gave nothing. No seismic buildup. No lava lake drama. No foreshocks. Just boom, massive eruption. That kind of behavior has scientists on edge. Because if a volcano this ancient, this quiet, can suddenly snap, what else is out there lurking beneath the radar? It also raises huge questions about volcanic monitoring, especially in tectonically active but under-surveilled regions like the East African Rift. Haile Gubby sits in a zone where the Earth is literally pulling itself apart. The rift is a slow-motion tectonic breakup that stretches from the Red Sea down into Mozambique. And where tectonic plates drift apart, magma rises. Most people associate tectonic drama with earthquakes or flashy volcanoes like those in Iceland or Indonesia. But Ethiopia? It's becoming a hotbed for hidden volcanic threats. And Haile Gubby just made that crystal clear. Could this affect the whole planet? Short answer, possibly. Long answer, it depends on what happens next. Right now, satellites are picking up a lot of sulfur dioxide being pumped into the upper atmosphere. That's important because when sulfur dioxide gets high enough stratosphere level high, it can cause global cooling by reflecting sunlight back into space. If Haile Gubby keeps erupting like this, or worsens, it could release enough sulfur to impact global climate, much like Mount Pinatubo did in 1991. That eruption cooled the planet by nearly half a degree Celsius for over a year.
If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Your feedback helps shape what we cover next, and you being here keeps the conversation going. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.
Or mess with rice crops in Asia. Or create stronger winter storms. That's the power of stratospheric sulfur, and scientists are watching closely. Right now, Haley Gubby hasn't crossed that threshold, but she's close. And if the ash and gas keep climbing, the climate consequences won't be far behind. What happens now? That's the billion-dollar question. As of now, the eruption is ongoing. The ash column is still massive. Flights remain affected. Aid is flowing in slowly. Scientists are scrambling to figure out how deep this magma source is, whether it's connected to other fault lines, and whether we're dealing with a short-lived tantrum or the beginning of something long and violent. This could end tomorrow, or it could keep going for weeks. And if it keeps going, we're looking at increased health emergencies, more flight disruptions, possibly even new cracks in the land if the eruption spreads. Haley Gubby could become a prolonged problem, a volcano that went from never heard of it to are we still talking about this in less than a month. The bigger picture, here's what makes this so much more than a local event. Haley Gubby has shattered the illusion that we know all the active threats on Earth. We don't. We've mapped the flashy ones. We monitor the loud ones, but the quiet ones, the so-called dormant volcanoes scattered around the world, sleeping under cities, under fields, under oceans, those are the ones that remind us Earth isn't finished shifting. She's still rewriting her surface, even as we try to build highways across it. And that's the terrifying beauty of it all. Because beneath every calm landscape, beneath every extinct mountain or forgotten crater, the planet is pulsing, moving, plotting, just like Haley Gubby was for 12,000 years, while no one was watching. Until now. So, what should you take away from this? Be amazed but don't be complacent. If this eruption has taught us anything, it's that predictability is a myth. Earth doesn't run on our schedules. It doesn't wait for us to feel ready. 1 minute you're sipping tea, the next you're checking some maps and wondering if you should cancel your flight. This is why scientific funding, early warning systems, and global cooperation matter. Because when the planet speaks, it doesn't always whisper first. So stay informed, ask questions, follow the data, and maybe, just maybe, keep an eye on the quiet volcanoes. They might have something to say. Thoughts? Drop them in the comments. Would you live near a volcano? Do you think global systems are prepared for more Haley Gubbys? What's your take on the climate risks? And if you're into breaking chaos, scientific mysteries, and the world's most dramatic meltdowns, natural or otherwise, hit subscribe. Because sometimes, the Earth is the drama, and we're just living in the blast radius. You'd think after millennia of peace and quiet, a volcano would have earned its retirement. But no, Haley Gubby had other plans. Let's be honest here. We don't expect the ancient ones to act up. That's part of the psychological shock of this whole eruption. It didn't come from some headline-grabbing, high-maintenance hotspot. It came from a quiet, forgotten crater in the Afar region of Ethiopia, one that hadn't done anything for 12,000 years. That's older than the concept of civilization. And when it finally broke its silence, it didn't just burp a little lava and call it a day. It exploded into one of the most dramatic high-altitude ash events of the decade, spewing a column of ash higher than Mount Everest and sending global air traffic into chaos. Like, what happened to easing back into things? And that's what's got volcanologists pacing the floor right now. This isn't just an eruption. It's a geological curveball thrown hard, fast, and without warning. Because let's be clear, Haley Gubby gave no signals, no earthquakes warm, no thermal anomalies, no smoke rings from the crater warning us of what was to come. Just sudden, violent ignition, a full-force, top-of-the-atmosphere eruption that turned heads from Addis Ababa to Geneva. And now, the world is racing to catch up to what's happening, while the volcano continues to do, well, whatever it wants. And right now, it wants attention. The East African Rift just got a lot more interesting. Most people don't wake up thinking about the East African Rift, but geologists, they've been eyeing this zone like it's a sleeping dragon, and Haley Gubby might have just poked it. This isn't just a random eruption in isolation. The East African Rift is a tearing seam running through the continent, where the African plate is slowly splitting into two. One day, millions of years from now, it will form a new ocean. But today, it's just a land of stretching, cracking, and magma trying to rise to the surface. So when Hailey Gubby erupted, it wasn't just a volcano going rogue. It was the rift speaking. And that has massive implications. Because if pressure is building in that zone, it might not be the only ancient volcano thinking about staging a comeback tour. In fact, since this eruption began, scientists have turned their attention to neighboring peaks. Some of them haven't erupted in recorded history either. But then again, neither had Hailey Gubby. And now it's rewriting textbooks in real time. So, what exactly is going on? Let's break it down. What we know, the volcano is erupting explosively. The ash column reached 14 kilometers high right into jet engine territory. Sulfur dioxide emissions are off the charts, indicating deep magma degassing. Local communities are suffering under ashfall, and aviation routes across East Africa, the Middle East, and parts of Asia have been thrown into disarray. What we don't know, how long this will last. Whether this is a short-lived paroxysm or the opening act of a sustained, multi-week eruption. Whether deeper magma reservoirs are involved. Whether the eruption will evolve into a more effusive phase with lava flows or worse, collapse events. There are also whispers about geothermal shifts in the region. Some scientists are even speculating about a tectonic unzipping event where magma exploits weaknesses in the rift and opens up new fissures, essentially fracturing the land from below. It's rare, but it has happened before. And if that sounds terrifying, it is. Because if Hailey Gubby's eruption triggers a cascading tectonic response, we could be looking at not just one volcanic emergency but a whole network of interlinked instability across the rift. Think earthquakes, ground deformation, gas releases, and possibly more eruptions. You get the picture. It's not just one volcano anymore. It's the potential start of a chapter. Meanwhile, in the sky, let's not forget that we now live in a world that relies on commercial aviation like never before. From passenger flights to supply chains to emergency aid, our skies are busy. And when a volcano like Hailey Gubby throws ash into the upper atmosphere, it's not just a minor inconvenience. It's a major operational threat. Already, dozens of flights have been cancelled or rerouted. Air traffic control centers are issuing warnings like wildfire. Ash particles are drifting across major air routes. Airlines are scrambling to navigate around this mess, eating up fuel, time, and money. And all of it is dependent on satellite tracking, a delicate dance between real-time observation and sheer guesswork. Because volcanic ash doesn't behave like weather. It doesn't follow predictable patterns. It rides the wind, but it does its own thing. And if the plume crosses into the stratosphere, it sticks around for months. That's when you start talking about real long-term impacts. Colder temperatures, altered rainfall, delayed planting seasons. The kind of ripple effects that don't just disrupt schedules, they destabilize ecosystems. On the ground, survival mode. While airlines issue advisories, people in the Afar region are in survival mode. Ash isn't just falling, it's smothering. Homes, roads, livestock, water supplies. You name it, it's coated in gray. Breathing is difficult. Water is undrinkable. Food supply chains are frozen. Hospitals are overwhelmed. Aid is slow. This is what disaster looks like when it hits without warning. There's no time to evacuate. No shelter-in-place plan. Just confusion, fear, and a landscape transformed overnight. And the psychological toll is real. Imagine watching your world turn to dust in a matter of hours. Your crops, your animals, your home, everything under threat from something you can't even see clearly. Volcanoes don't just erupt magma. They erupt trauma. Why this eruption feels so personal? There's something about an ancient volcano waking up that hits differently. Maybe because it reminds us how fragile our assumptions are. We like the idea that we've mapped all the threats. We like knowing which volcanoes are active and which are dormant. We build our infrastructure, our policies, our emergency planning around those labels. But Hailey Gubby just tore that comfort to shreds. It's not just a volcano waking up. It's the concept of certainty crumbling in the face of the Earth's raw power. It's the realization that there are still things out there beneath our feet that we don't understand. That can catch us off guard. That don't care if we're ready or not. This eruption isn't just a natural event. It's a lesson. And it's being written in ash, in sulfur, in the quiet fear of people suddenly aware that the ground can change its mind at any moment. Where do we go from here? If there's any silver lining in this volcanic mess, it's that the eruption has galvanized global cooperation. Data is flying between research labs and government agencies at record speed. Remote sensing satellites are on 24/7 duty. International relief organizations are coordinating efforts to help communities in Afar. And maybe, just maybe, this will be the moment we take dormant volcanoes seriously. Maybe this will be the catalyst for better funding of volcanic monitoring in overlooked regions, for more robust early warning systems, for education campaigns in vulnerable communities, for deeper study of the rift zones we've written off as quiet. Because the truth is, the Earth never truly sleeps. It just waits. Final thoughts. Haley-Gubby didn't just erupt. It disrupted. It forced us to look at our blind spots, to question what we thought we knew, to remember that nature doesn't need our permission to change the rules. This ancient volcano may have slumbered for 12,000 years, but in just a few days, it shattered centuries of complacency. So here's your reminder: the ground you walk on is not permanent. The mountains in the distance are not silent. And the planet beneath us is not done moving. Ever. What do you think? Should dormant volcanoes be reclassified after this? Do you live near a forgotten volcano that suddenly doesn't feel so forgettable? Drop your thoughts in the comments and share this story with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want more breaking disaster stories like this, hit subscribe. Because we're not done tracking this eruption, and something tells us the Earth isn't either. We build cities on volcanic soil because it's fertile. We carve roads into the sides of ancient craters. We give volcanoes cute, harmless-sounding labels like dormant, as if that word means safe. But dormant just means resting. Not extinct, not dead. Just biding its time. And that's exactly what Haley-Gubby was doing. For 12,000 years, it sat there in the afar region, silent, still, forgotten. No steam, no rumble, nothing to suggest it was still alive underneath. Entire generations were born, lived, and died in its shadow, never once imagining it could turn their world upside down in a single day. Until it did. And now, everything's changed. The ash plume is still stretching across international skies like a warning sign scribbled by the Earth itself. The ground near the volcano is cracked and unstable. And the air? It's gritty. It tastes like metal. You breathe it in and immediately know you're not supposed to be here. But people are here. Families, children, farmers, herdsmen, teachers. Everyone who called this region home before the eruption is now living through a nightmare of falling ash, contaminated water, and choking skies. The sound of the eruption has faded, but its impact is just beginning. The domino effect. Here's what no one really talks about until it's too late. When a volcano erupts, it doesn't just destroy things, it disrupts them. The crops, dead, buried under ash. Thanks so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end, you're officially part of the small percentage of people who don't just click away, and that means a lot. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me your thoughts, your ideas, or even what you'd like to see next. I read every single one of them, and your feedback genuinely shapes the direction of this channel. If you enjoyed the video, tap that like button. It tells YouTube this content is worth sharing. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next upload. We've got more exciting videos coming, and trust me, you'll want to be here for them. This channel is just getting started, and your support helps it grow faster than you realize. Thank you again for spending a part of your day here with me. Stay curious, stay motivated, and as always, take care of yourself. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video.